Welcome back to Rock Cycle. I hope you're having a good day. Now today we are going to be looking at the two first confirmed headliners for Glastonbury Festival 2020. I'm sure you know by now they are Taylor Swift and Paul McCartney, so let's get into the video and talk about it. Now first of all, I'm well aware there's been a bit of a lack of uploads on the channel recently. That's partly due to having a lot of university work and also me having a cold, so hopefully my voice isn't too bad in this video, but I fear it might be. But anyway, I'm sure you don't care about me. Let's get into the actual festival. Now, the first headliner we had announced, now this was admittedly a few weeks ago, was Paul McCartney. I'm sure you're all well aware of who he is, but if you're not, he was a member of the Beatles, which were the best-selling artist of all time, despite only being active for about 10 years. Now, he himself is also on the list of the best-selling artists of all time, according to Wikipedia, which, despite what my lecturers and teachers say, that is a reliable source of information as far as I'm concerned. Now, Paul McCartney and the Beatles completely revolutionised rock music and pop music in the 1960s, to the extent that we're really feeling their impact still today in modern music. I don't know if we would have any rock, metal or pop if it wasn't for a band like them at the time. So really, if you don't know any of his music or any of the Beatles' music, I really recommend you go and check them out. So, when he was announced for the festival, it had a primarily positive response, it seems to be, judging from what I saw on Twitter and Facebook, etc. But not very many people were completely over the moon happy. Like, this man is the definition of a music icon. But unfortunately, to be honest, I do think he's struggled to stay relevant and up to date, especially with younger audiences. And festivals do in general target the younger audience fan base, is typically people below 35. Now that being said, Glastonbury is a bit of an exception. I think they do cater towards older age groups more than other festivals do. But Paul McCartney and the Beatles, their music is very much a product of their time. In no way at all do I mean it's in a bad way. Their music is great. But when you've literally had generations and generations of bands building upon and expanding the music which you set the groundworks for, people have taken their music, like their influence, in so many new, more, better directions, arguably. So these guys, while they were groundbreaking at the time, his kind of music, like if he was a new artist today, I don't think he would have got where he was. Now, I'm sure maybe you've got some older viewers on this, but guessing from my YouTube analytics, I've never had a viewer over 65, which will be very annoyed for me for saying anything bad about him. But I'm sure there's certainly some younger people who agree, who haven't really heard of him or the Beatles, and they've never really listened to his music. But with that all being said, let's move on to his live performance. Personally, I've never had the chance to actually go and see him live, so I've looked at a few different reviews and whatever online of seeing him live, and they are mostly positive reviews, but I've seen there's a few out there that aren't as happy with it, saying that his voice has really gone quite a bit now that he's older. And every artist has good and bad days, but when you've got as old as Paul McCartney has, there's going to get to a point where you're definitely going to have more bad days than good days. Like, this man's been going long enough to have over 17 albums out in his solo career alone. But with that being said, also, when he's been going so long, if you're a die-hard Paul McCartney fan, you would have gone and seen him by now, most likely. And I know that's true to a degree for every act at a festival, that I'm sure there's always been a chance in the past to see them, but I think it's especially true with someone whose career started in the 1960s. So overall, my personal opinion is that Paul McCartney is a perfect booking on paper for the festival, but in reality, he lacks that excitement or that wow factor, for me at least personally, and it seems to be a few other people agree with that. He's a great artist and he definitely deserves to headline the festival. But if I was a particularly strong Paul McCartney fan, I would have seen him by now. And I'm not a particularly strong fan of his. I think he's good. I don't think he's amazing. I don't think he's good enough to pay the £70 or whatever that it costs to go see him. So yeah, he's just sort of lacking that wow factor that you normally get with Glastonbury headliners, that are really big, exclusive acts that are just amazing, and it's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see that band or artist. But I think it's also worth saying it's kind of good to have him, because I don't want to sound really morbid, but how many more opportunities are there going to be to see him? At his age, whether he's going to stop performing by his own choice or any other unfortunate factor, you can't imagine he's going to be going that much longer. So if you haven't seen him yet, I think it's a great opportunity to see him. before he stops performing live. Now let's move on to Taylor Swift, and this was definitely a much more controversial booking by the festival. Now, if you don't know who she is, she started out at a very young age. I think she was 14 or 15 when she first started properly doing music. She released a load of very radio-friendly, upbeat, positive, like country rock songs with a bit of a pop influence. But as her career has progressed, that pop influence has become stronger and stronger and stronger, to the point where now she is just pretty much very stereotypical pop act. Now, while you can't deny how big of an artist she is, I mean, also according to the Wikipedia list, she's the 10th best-selling artist of all time, and I'm pretty sure besides Rihanna, she's the only one in the top 10 that started out this millennium. But I think all the controversy with her is really because she is not your typical Glastonbury act, not by a long shot. Because while Glastonbury is predominantly a rock festival, they do experiment and they do have all sorts of other genres there, and I don't think they officially class themselves as any one genre of music festival, but predominantly it's been considered by the public a rock festival. Now, we have had plenty of other artists on there that do not fit this rock style act, such as Florence and the Machine, Stormzy, JC, Adele, Beyonce. That's just a few I can think of off the top of my head. And yes, there was definitely mixed receptions to having them there, but never to the extent of this, I don't think. And I think that's kind of because she's the first overly cliched pop style act they've had. Like, a lot of festival organisers and people who go to festivals talk about the rock and roll spirit or attitude, saying, especially with rap music, saying while it's not rock and roll music, they can motivate and energise a crowd the same way as rock and roll can, and it can feel very similar being to see a big rap act as it can be to see a big rock act. I think that's true for most of the acts that you'd categorise as rap or pop in the past for Glastonbury, but not at all for Taylor Swift. Now, you may be expecting me to hate on Taylor Swift because this is a rock music channel, and I think I've made it very clear in my videos and this whole channel and the Bring Me the Horizon poster behind me that I'm a very big rock and metal fan. But actually, Taylor Swift is one of my personal favourites and a guilty pleasure, especially her old work. I mean, there's plenty of very embarrassing videos of me out there, super drunk, singing my heart out to Love Story. But as her career has progressed and we've seen her become more and more cliched pop, I've really lost interest in her. Like when I heard her sing that "spelling is fun" line, that's just the day I just lost all interest in her, to be honest. I think the way she has developed has helped her gain a lot more commercial success, but I really think she's lost what made her unique and special, her unique blend of country music and pop music in a way that was really good and really fun. So personally, I think she would have been a lot better for the festival and a lot more suited and still big enough maybe a couple of albums ago when she was a lot more of this alternative country pop music. But with that all being said, live, she puts on a great live show. I really enjoyed seeing her when I did go see it, and that did cost me quite a bit of money, to be honest. But she's really good fun and does perform well. But that was in a stadium of fans who specifically bought tickets for her, compared to Glastonbury, where people didn't buy tickets specifically for her. And what I think is a bit of a unique problem with Glastonbury is that people have to buy their tickets before the lineup is announced. And people can always say, oh, if you don't like it, you can just sell your ticket on. And while that is true to a degree, when you get a Glastonbury ticket, if you are lucky enough to do it, you do not want to sell it because so many people miss out on them each year. If you've been like me and you've been trying for years and years and years to get one and you finally get one, you're going to hold on to that no matter what, just because it's Glastonbury and just because that may be the only opportunity in your life you have to go to the festival. And I do think a lot of people that have bought tickets for the festival really do not fit into Taylor Swift's stereotypical fan base, which is predominantly young teenage girls especially. Now, I do know she has fans from all genders and ages, but that is where, stereotypically at least, the majority of her fans are. So I definitely bet if you're not a fan of cheesy pop, you're a rock music fan thinking you bought a ticket for a rock music festival, and you've just spent 250 quid more or less on it, and you've got this Taylor Swift headlining the festival, I definitely see why a lot of people are very annoyed. So overall, while I'm relatively happy to see her headline the festival, like she wouldn't be my first choice, but she's not someone I dislike, I certainly understand why a lot of people are very unhappy with this choice by the festival. Now, so far, these are the only 2 officially confirmed artists at the festival besides Diana Ross. There seems to be a few more artists that have either self-announced themselves or been very heavily implied that they're there through interviews, and plus a few like leaked posters or posters bands have put on their website and deleted or whatever that say that they are at the festival. And I'm going to do a video talking about all of them, but I just want to properly research that and fact check everything as much as I can before that. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. I also think it's going to be very interesting if the most likely rumour for the 3rd headliner turns out to be true, and that is Kendrick Lamar. And this will be the first year that we haven't had a band headline the festival at all, and you could certainly argue there's not a rock act headlining the festival, because Paul McCartney, while he was a rock star, his kind of music doesn't really fit into what is considered proper rock, I could argue, by some people. I would say he still is, but I know a lot of people would consider him pop rather than rock now. So yeah, we will have plenty more Glastonbury videos out as we have more information from the festival. So if you're interested in that, consider subscribing. And if you want to leave a like on the video, that'd be great. And I'll be very interested to see your comments and have a bit of a chat about what you think of these 2 headliners so far. I'm sure a lot of you won't be very happy, but I'm sure there's a few out there that are reasonably happy with these 2 being announced. So anyway, that's it from Rock Cycle, and I'll see you in the next video.